May I have a motion with respect to Article 2, Mr. LeBeau?
I move the printed motion under Article 2.
Second.
The printed motion under Article 2 has been moved and seconded. This article proposes to authorize the Board of Selectmen to negotiate and approve a tax payment agreement between the town and Kenyon Mass Solar 1 LLC as described in the manager's memorandum and the revised materials from Selco General Manager Michael Hale dated August 31st. Finance Committee recommendation.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends Article 2 for approval.
And Mr. Mizikar, would you provide us with an explanation of Article 2?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The tax payment agreement will establish the valuation and schedule of tax payments attributable to the development of a solar electricity production facility, which is estimated to produce 4.22 megawatts of power. This agreement will be set for the next 25 years. Real estate tax will be assessed upon the land, was set at a rate of $2,500 per megawatt, and will escalate at 2.5% on an annual basis. The payment in lieu of taxes will be on the personal property or the solar panels and related items themselves, is set at a rate of $12,500 per megawatt. This is fixed over 25 years and does not escalate nor decline. It is weighted so that 55% of the total tax payments will be due and paid in years 1 through 10, and the balance of the 45% will carry from years 11 through 25. The total tax agreement provides the town with $1,679,114.41 in taxes over the 25-year period, which averages out to be $67,165 per year. Additionally, although it's not a part of consideration for town meeting this evening, the town will enter into a land lease with the developer, and the total revenues from the land lease will be $386,788 in lease revenues. Mr. Moderator, I may suggest that Selco General Manager Michael Hale may be able to provide more context on the solar development itself.
Mr. Hale.
Good evening. Town meeting members, my memo gave you a little bit of background on this article. I'll summarize it briefly. We had been before you in 2015 with a similar proposal. We had gone out to bid. We had selected a solar developer. We spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours negotiating a deal with that developer after the town meeting had authorized the board to enter into a tax agreement, and at the 11th hour the deal died because the developer couldn't get financing. That said, the solar rec program was scheduled to end at the end of 2016. In March or so of 2017, the Baker-Polito administration under Secretary Beaton announced that they would be extending the solar rec program through March of 2018 with a couple of minor changes. One, the SREC, or the subsidy provided to the developers, would be at a lower rate. And you had to get everything done and online by March of 2018. I went to the town manager, and as many in the building know, trying to get into the town manager in the month of March and April is very difficult. He's in full town meeting preparation mode. The budget's his number one priority. I told him that Selco and the commission would like to give it one more crack at a solar. He hemmed and hawed. He didn't have the time. He had lost people in his office to retirement. I told him Selco would take on the project. We would cover their legal expenses involved for the tax agreements through town council. We would work through town council to make sure that the bid spec was prepared and was tight, and we went to work. We put the project out to bid and opened proposals in early June, and after an analysis, it was determined that Kenyon Energy would be the bidder or the bidder that provided the greatest return to the town. It's possibly the last chance that we could get a solar project of this magnitude built in the foreseeable future. It's a very good energy price for Selco and its ratepayers, and it does provide a good revenue source for the town on land that would otherwise not generate anything. It fits within the Selco's mission, and it continues to diversify the generation assets that Selco has in producing power. Selco obviously supports the recommendation to allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into a tax agreement. The timeline is tight. The developer is ready and waiting, and we would like to see this construction start in October or November.
Thank you. Questions or comments with respect to Article 2? There's a hand in the air. Mr. Moss.
Brian Moss, Precinct 8. So first I wanted to thank Selco for actually pushing this project forward. We're lucky that we're getting this because Selco worked hard to get this for us. One thing that we need to consider when looking at renewable energy projects and voting on these is that there is a huge push city by city to go 100% renewable energy. And that time scale is very short. So there are renewable energy targets by certain cities. For example, Atlanta, 100% renewable energy by 2035 for their electricity source. Boulder, Colorado, 100% renewable energy by 2030. And even here in Cambridge, 100% renewable energy by 2035. So when you look at that time scale of what other cities, now we don't have that commitment, but if you look at other cities taking these commitments on and trying to get to 100% renewable energy in the next decade or so, we need to consider that. When we look at what energy sources are renewable, coal is not renewable, not considered renewable. Oil is not considered renewable. Nuclear is not considered renewable. Large hydro is not considered renewable, and natural gas is not considered renewable. So all of those energy sources are not considered renewable, and solar and wind are the main renewable energy sources, plus some others like geothermal. So I just want to praise Selco for bringing forward a project to the side, fitting into that renewable energy portfolio, and I support this article. Thank you.
Further questions or comments with respect to Article 2? Mr. Shotsky.
Dale Shotsky, Precinct 7. Mr. Moderator, I have a comment and a question. I'd like to share Mr. Moss's view that I'm really happy that this is taking place. This is a wise use of idle land. My questions are, I've forgotten my question. Oh, I got it. Well, why is it that the town can lease property to a solar producer and that homeowners cannot? Homeowners cannot rent their roofs, whereas the town is renting its land. That's one question. And the other is...
Well, let's take one question at a time, Mr. Shotsky.
All
Mr.
right.
Hale, did you want to respond to the question?
Homeowners can lease their roof, but they have to procure the energy. It can't be sold on the open market. A lease can be structured so that it doesn't open our service territory. We have a closed service territory. I think the closed service territory pays significant dividends. Our power costs are 60 to 80% below those of investor-owned utilities, and I think everyone benefits from that.
Okay.
Do you have a follow-up question, Mr. Shotsky?
I can't remember my other question. Will the town or Selco have an opportunity to acquire this asset before the expiration of the lease? And if so, how soon could that take place, and what costs might be involved?
Response, Mr. Hale.
There's something called a power purchase agreement that's in development, has yet to be signed. There's a provision in the power purchase agreement that allows Selco at specific prices to buy out the developer. At this point, we have had discussions during what years. We're allowed 3 options, and so far, we haven't signed any deal, but I think my recollection serves me right. In looking at the values over the 25-year period, we selected option 8-year, option 11, and I think option at year 16. So yes, to answer your question more directly, we can.
Further questions or comments with respect to Article 2? Ms. Hollenbach. Missy, if you'd like to spend the first 15 seconds giving your report that I gave for you, I'll let you say a few words about the farmers market.
Sorry, I had to deal with the kids. Missy Hollenbach, Precinct 9. I'm one of these homeowners that have been participating in the Green Light program since ever it started. And when it first started, the idea was that it was going to be paying for, I believe, wind power at Jiminy Peak or somewhere. What are my dollars being used for now? Is it this type of a program, or your vacation?
Yeah.
Response, Mr. Hale.
It's just renewable energy resources procured by MWIC on behalf of all of their member communities. MWIC is a joint action agency that represents 20 municipal light departments throughout the state, and they aggregate all those who are interested in the program and buy green energy for those people who are interested in that program. So no specific wind project here or wind project there.
May I have a follow-up, please?
Go ahead.
I notice you're not really promoting that program as much as you were in the beginning, with more of the interest in solar and us becoming a green communities program. Is there a plan by Selco to enhance this?
I'd be glad to talk to Jackie Pratt, our marketing manager, about that.
Further questions or comments with respect to Article 2? Yes, sir.
James Delay, Precinct 2. So this has to be done by March. What happens if it doesn't get built by March?
I don't even want to think about that.
I don't want to either,
The
but what
developer
happens?
assures me that it will be built before March. In fact, they have, there's a couple hurdles we have to get over on permitting. One through DEP we need to get, because it's on a cap portion of the ash landfill, we have to get what's called a post-closure use permit. That's well underway. And then the developer has the panels and hopes to start the installation in October and be finished by the end of the calendar year, so that is a moot point and leaves them 3 months cushion. However, conditions aren't overly conducive if you have 10 feet of snow.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments on Article 2? Mr. Sheikh?
Rashid Sheikh, Precinct 10. Just few clarification on the contract. So is there a true understanding that this developer would be developing this solar field, a plant, and they would be obligated to sell the entire production to Selco for pre-negotiated price? Just a couple of clarification, may I ask, Mr. Moderator, all in same question?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So they will be obligated to sell all 100% to Selco, or would they can sell in the open market, number one? And number two, is there kind of a fixed price for number of years? And then how does that kind of work in the market as these things are getting more competitive, stuff like that?
Mr. Hale?
To answer the first question, this is a deal between Selco and this developer. The deal is for Selco to buy all of the power. A solar developer could put a development in Shrewsbury and sell to people outside of Shrewsbury. However, they'd have to be they'd have to pay Selco what's referred to as a wheeling fee to send the power out of our territory into another territory. I don't know off the top of my head what that fee would be. We haven't explored that. In terms of the where's the price competitively, it's less than the last solar deal we had, and our all-in power costs average between 7 and 8 cents per kilowatt hour. This is a deal at 5.6 cents.
Further questions or comments? Mr. Sheikh, you look like you want to ask one more follow-up question.
Yes, I'm sorry. My question wasn't really the competitiveness of the price right now. I was thinking of I think you are going for a long-term contract, I'm assuming. So as these prices, kind of tend to become more competitive as the year goes by. So I'm just thinking that, if we have, is it a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year plan, and what is kind of the escalation or de-escalation clause for price competitiveness?
It's a 25-year deal. The price is fixed for the entire 25 years, and if you can tell me what power is going to cost even 5 years or 10 years from now, we'll all be millionaires.
Further questions or comments regarding Article 2? There being none, and this motion requiring a majority vote to pass, would all those in favor of the printed motion under Article 2 please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. And the motion passes